Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming one of the great stuntmen of his time, Peter Kent. You all may remember him. He doubled for Arnold in many movies. Terminator, Commando, Predator, The Running Man, Total Recall, Terminator 2, many movies. But a lot of you horror fans out there know him as Melvin the Re-Animated in Re-Animator. I'm having him on the show today to talk about his stunt work for Arnold, Re-Animator, and some other roles that he did, like the Dungeonmaster and Dudes, etc. And I can't wait. It's going to be pretty friggin' awesome. So yeah, here is my interview with Peter Kent.
Hello.
Hey, Peter.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
I am good.
Oh, welcome to the show. It's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Yes. So.
This is a podcast, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So it'd be great if you sent me a link and I'll post it on my stunt page.
Oh, of course. I send them all to all my guests.
Excellent.
So, according to my research, at an early age, you were doing stunts on your own, climbing trees, falling through branches, stuff like that?
Yes, I was. Much to the bane of my mother and my father, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Were you a very athletic kid?
I don't know if you'd call it athletic. I ran around a lot. I lived in North Vancouver, which at that time was pretty wild, woodsy, and we were, in fact, back in the woodsy area. So, there was just a river right beside me. There was woods, like, literally right out the back door, and a big gravel pit down the street. And so, there was just all these places to play outside. So, I was just running wild pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Did you have an interest in movies and acting early on?
I think the first time it ever caught my attention was when I might have been around 4 or 5, and I was watching the old black and white TV in our living room, and something inside me just said I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was some show, and I can't identify what exactly the show was, but yeah, part of me said, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Did you do sports in high school?
I did, yeah. I ran track.
Track.
And standing long jump and an ill-fated little while there trying to do pole vaulting, which I didn't take to very well.
Yeah. I did shot put and discus in high school.
Right.
Yeah. I was reading that among the many jobs that you did before acting in stunts, you were a sound engineer for bands?
I was, yeah, for quite a while, yeah.
Who were some of the bands you engineered?
Oh, God, there was all kinds of bands. A lot of, like, the local bar bands, and then some of the bigger ones, like Rush and people like that. I worked for a company also called Beyond Concert Systems and did some sound for them.
Mm-hmm. Did you do, like, April Wine and Moxie and all them?
No, not Moxie, but April Wine, yeah.
Nice, yeah. I love Canadian rock. I think it's very underrated.
Yeah, like Triumph and...
Triumph was great. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
So when did acting come into play?
I guess probably about high school. I started taking an interest in fact, it's funny because my old acting teacher, drama teacher from high school, Les Dickinson, is still a good friend of mine to this day. And he was the one that put me in my very first play, which was Dark of the Moon. And then subsequently after that, another play called The Lottery. And it's funny because I reunited with him a few years ago. I hadn't seen him in probably 40-odd years.
Wow.
Kind of cool to run into him again because literally he was the guy instrumental in getting me to get up and seeing some potential in me to be able to do it and pushing me to do it.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever play the lead in the plays?
No. not until I did. I mean, I did some theater later on when I was in California, etc. But I played some leads. But I never, when I first started out, no, I was just one of the background guys. You know, I would have a character, a definitive character, but I wasn't the lead.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever do Shakespeare?
I did, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Mark. I played Anthony. I played Hamlet, and I played Henry V.
Nice.
Yes. My favorite being Caesar. Playing Anthony was I'm a huge fan of Roman history, having been in Rome quite a few times, and actually stood on the steps of Antony's house.
Oh, nice. That must be really historic looking.
Yeah, it is. It's massive too. It's a huge house.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever perform in musicals?
No. I sang in some bands, but that was about the extent of my screech. I never took it onto a theatrical stage.
Mm-hmm. Were you looking to possibly get into the music industry because you had done sound engineering?
The thought crossed my mind, and I also took a broadcasting course to be a DJ at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked in my small hometown doing some sports and news broadcasting for them on occasion. The old station is gone now, but I would go in there like on a Saturday morning, and because I was in the course, they would allow me to come in and read the news or read some of the sports. But at that, I never went with that either.
It was the old days of radio.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did you get to be Arnold Stuntman?
Well, it's a somewhat convoluted tale, but I went to Los Angeles in 1980, late 82, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It was? Yeah, late 82. Actually, I think I arrived there in November 26th. It was Thanksgiving night. And then that following year, in 83, I was still living in the YMCA on Hollywood Boulevard, and I had found a small casting company, and they called and left a message for me saying they'd sent a photo to James Cameron because they were casting the background for the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Jim wants to see you. Unfortunately, it was only about less than a mile. It was over at the ABC Television Center over on Romaine Avenue, and I was right up in Hollywood living in the Y. So I walked over there, and Jim took one look at me and said, initially they were hiring for someone to be a stand-in, which is lighting.
Right.
And so Jim said, okay, great, he's hired for that. He said to the production coordinator, and then he looked at me and he said, you ever done stunts before? And I thought, maybe if I don't say yes to this, I might not have the other job. And I had no job at the time. I was running out of money, so I just said yes, and it was like, great, there you go.
Wow, that's amazing. That doesn't happen anymore.
I don't think it ever would happen again. It was like, people always ask me, like, there's some sort of template that they can follow, right?
Yeah.
To make this happen. And it was just like, literally, the adage, right place, right time, defines that moment. And, I just, like 2 weeks later, I found myself in the Department of Water and Power in their underground parking lot, and Jim handed me a shotgun, put me in a car, and said, pull up in there. Linda Hamilton and Michael Bean are in that car over there, and just pull the shotgun out and start firing at the windows. Drive up and start shooting. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, wow, God. Yeah, I mean, back in those days, people who never even dreamed of being in show business would get discovered at the grocery store,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like that anymore. It's so corporate now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, everybody's got to have their high IMDb rating and this and that. It's just like, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's such an insult to guys like you who got started that way,
Yeah, it is what it is. It's evolved into that. I mean, I don't do much in front of the camera anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not stunts, but I work behind the camera now, second unit, and directing. I've got a couple things that I'm producing now. I produced a TV series up here in Canada. Well, I'm actually with Team Worldwide on Discovery Channel called Stunt Dogs, DAWGS. And that was the science behind stunts.
Nice.
We only got one season of that, but it was an incredible series. You can still find it out there on YouTube.
Nice. I'll check it out later on.
Yeah.
So the Terminator, was your first movie that you doubled Arnold on. Were you nervous at all?
I was, and funny enough, they dressed me and had me come downstairs to where he was. We were in the underground parking lot at the Department of Water and Power right downtown in LA. And I walked up, and there was lights on in the back of the set, and Arnold was sitting there in this chair smoking a cigar. And so I walked up, and he took a look at me, this long look, and he says, "Yeah, you're too tall." Well, I figured right at that particular moment I had been fired before I'd even started.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah." And then he goes, "I'm just kidding. Sit down here, have a cigar." and that was kind of the start of things. And that was sort of an indicator of the kind of we were always pranking. He was always pranking people and pranking me. And
yeah. Are you taller than him?
Yes, 3 inches.
3 inches. And by that point, did you have your union card?
No. And so, and to this day, I was still angry about it. But they had promised it to me at the end of the show. It's called a letter of Taft-Hartley, and what it does is it gets you. We moved into the union by the decree from the production company, and they only get a certain number of those letters, and they promised me one, and when we got to the end of the show, they said they didn't have it. They'd given them all away.
Oh.
And I was working for $40 a day flat.
Wow. That's not a lot.
For the entire Terminator, I worked at $40 a day flat.
Wow, even for back then, that's not a lot.
No, it's not. But, if you look at it, like they say, it's paying your dues, right?
Mm-hmm. Paying your dues.
Yep.
What was James Cameron like back then?
Well, he was a lot different than what he used to be as he went along. But I guess, that happens with everybody as they get famous and stuff. They start to believe their own press and et cetera, et cetera. He was, it's funny because he's Canadian and so am I. And I think maybe that was another reason why I got hired initially. And so, we would joke a lot. And I think that we have a common sense of humor. It's a Canadian thing. It's sort of a dry and twisted sense of humor. And so we got each other, you might say. And there was a lot of times he would say stuff to me later on, even when we were filming. And I remember when we were doing Terminator 2, we were up in the rafters of the steel plant. It must have been 4 o'clock in the morning. And he decided to take the camera himself and do insert shots. And it was just over my shoulder when Arnold's been stabbed through by the T-1000 with the bar, and he finally wakes up again and reaches for the rocket launcher and then shoots him right at the precipice of the melted metal. And so Jim was shooting that with me, and we were both really tired. It was late at night. We'd been up probably 16 hours. Mm-hmm. We were talking to each other. We were talking in Scottish accents, back and forth. And the crew was looking at us like we were nuts, right?
Yeah.
It was like, they've snapped.
A little in-joke there, huh?
Yeah.
So did Arnold liked you so much on that next he had you on Commando?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite of all his movies.
Yeah, for me on Commando.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Are there any particular stunts in there you remember?
Oh, lots of running and jumping and driving and a little everything.
Mm-hmm. Like when he's shooting everybody and blowing stuff up, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's maybe some of the wide shots of the blowing up, but the shooting stuff is usually on him doing it. Mm-hmm. I did the run down the dock, getting shot at and blasting back over the top of the plane and hitting those guys in the Jeep when the Jeep was in the water. And then the rowing piece when he rows ashore in the life raft there, where he first see him coming ashore at the Presidente's place, which was kind of funny. Right.
How about in Predator?
All kinds of things, and one funny thing too is that I doubled him in a lot of the work there. Like even in the negative images the Predator has of Arnold when he's standing around the fire talking to Sonny there, and they're looking up into the trees. Sorry, not standing around the fire, but looking up into the trees where they think they see the Predator.
Yeah,
and it's that heat vision. They actually to be able to do that, we used a nitrogen camera. And so I had to stand in front of a roaring bonfire of burning tires in the middle of the jungle, and then run over to camera, quickly rub your high features like your eyebrows and bridge of your nose with a piece of ice, and they could film for about 15 seconds before that changed and you lost the definition.
Ah, nice. How about that?
And I actually doubled Sonny Landon, the guy that played Billy,
Right.
scene where he slices his belly open with the big machete. When the predator's coming, he cuts across his chest with it.
Mm-hmm.
That was my chest, and not Billy's. Billy was sick with the Teresa's and was quite bloated.
Wow. How about the Running Man?
All kinds of stuff. You know, the fights being dragged, stuff on the sound stage. You know, a little everything in there.
Total Recall.
Yeah, the same. We spent 6 months in Mexico City filming that. A lot of it, like the car chases and, oh, God, coming out of the chute and landing on the surface of the planet. And, in fact, I even, where he's laying there with his eyes popping out of his head, that's a mechanical head of his, but it's actually my arms and stuff underneath it. There was a picture on the cover of Fangoria of me doubling that shot.
Wow, you got
6 months in Mexico City. That was a long one.
Wow, that must have been cool to be on the cover of Fangoria.
Yep.
How about Terminator 2?
Oh, God. Everything. Motorcycle chase, motorcycle jump, the exchange between the trucks running up onto the big truck and from the little one, and driving sequences with the trucks, motorcycle driving all over the place. Basically, that film is what put me in the Hollywood Stuntmen's Hall of Fame.
Oh.
That particular movie.
Oh, that's great. Do you talk to Arnold much these days?
I haven't called him for about a year. He's been pretty busy. I've been pretty busy. I moved and a few other things. So every once in a while, I'll give him a shout.
Nice. As far as acting, you played a zombie in the Dungeonmaster.
I did.
Mm-hmm. How did you get that?
I think it was a casting piece. Let me think about that. It was, it's so hard to remember. It's so long ago. That was like one of the first things I ever did.
Before Terminator?
Oh, yeah, well before. I don't even think I was in, I wasn't, it was before the Terminator. It was before almost anything. I think the only one thing I remember about that particular movie was we were supposed to be a zombie Roman soldier.
Mm-hmm.
They had all this rot they put on my face, and I had to like it was supposed to be, you know, literally zombie flesh peeling off. So they stick this stuff to my chest. The effects guy told me he was going to put rubber cement on my chest, and I'm like, well, that's going to stick to the hair on my chest. He's like, no. I put a bar of soap, a dry bar of soap, and I rubbed the hair down really good with it, and then I put it on over that. It's absolutely no problem. Well, of course, I've never done anything like that before, so I agreed to it. And at the end of the shoot, you could not get that shit off my chest at all. So I was freaking furious and looked around, and the effects guy had left. And so if he's out there listening anywhere, I'm still looking for you, you son of a bitch.
Did it take days to get that off?
I had to cut all the hair off my chest with a set of small nail clipper scissors. It took about an hour. It ripped the hair out. I had a rash like hell on my chest for like a month.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was terrible.
So did that lead to Re-Animator?
Yeah, Re-Animator was right after the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was a strange thing because Stuart Gordon, who cast it, was really adamant about, you know, looking for a guy. I played like this deceased football player / zombie that you see at the very beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And he was adamant about having somebody who was big and in shape, but he also had to be able to move. So we had like these organic movement classes, and again, they were taking place in the YMCA in Hollywood, where I had stayed initially when I first got to Hollywood. And you had to be able to move like an ape to have this primal feel that he wanted.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take to apply all that deformity on you?
Oh God, it was probably about an hour and a half. It wasn't as bad as the Terminator makeup, put it that way.
John Beekler did it?
Yeah, and John Nolan, Naulin.
Mm-hmm. Did you only work one day?
No, I think I worked about 4 days on that show. I came back a couple. Yeah, they did the initial opening, and then they did. They had to have me come back because I was dead on the floor in one scene too, where after I killed Robert Sampson's character, then they have to figure out what to do with them, and they're discussing what's happened with the stuff they've made. So,
How was Stuart Gordon as a director?
Terrific. Yeah, I loved him, and I'm still friends with Jeff Combs, who played Dr. West. I'm still good friends with him.
Oh yeah, I've met him. Great guy.
Yes, he is.
And Bruce Abbott too.
Yeah.
And Barbara Crampton, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, I'm still friends with her too.
Mm-hmm. Do you get recognized the most for that?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know about that. I do at some point, but it's one of those things where people, I get a lot of looks at people go, I recognize you from somewhere, but I don't know. Just I've also done I have 180 acting credits on IMDb as well.
Right.
And probably, that's almost like every TV series that ever shot back in the early 90s up here in Vancouver, plus like Baywatch I did 5 times. I did Lois and Clark in the States. I did a ton of shows down there. So everybody kind of just looks at me and goes, I know you somewhere.
Mm-hmm. But does it ever cease to amaze you how this little horror film is still loved by everyone all these years later?
It's a huge cult classic, yeah. And when it first came out, it's funny because they were playing it as a double bill with Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought I was the only one who loved this movie, and then when I started going to the conventions in adulthood, I was like, really? Everyone likes this?
Yeah. It's a movie. It's funny because I went to see it, and they arranged a private screening for Arnold and myself and Sven, who is the big guy with the mallet in Conan.
Right.
And so Empire Pictures arranged that for us in their private screening room up off La Brea Avenue in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went there, and Arnold and I and Sven sat kind of in the front row watching it. And when it got to the part where the guts came flying out, the intestines, and wrapped around the guy's neck, Sven had to leave. I can't take it. It's disgusting.
Did Arnold like it?
Oh, yeah, we were laughing.
Oh, man. Here's something I'm sure you never get asked about. You did a couple episodes of the short-lived series The Wizard.
I did, yeah. I was, and funny enough, the guys that produced that show went on to produce Baywatch.
Really?
And so because I started out on The Wizard and we got to know each other,
mm-hmm.
They moved me into doing Baywatch. So I ended up doing 5 episodes of Baywatch as well as the ill-fated pilot for Baywatch Night.
Yeah, I heard the reason why The Wizard was canceled was because 20th Century Fox was launching the Fox network and they needed money for their shows on that network.
That could be. I'm not sure. I know only sadly that David Rappaport killed himself not long after.
Yeah, that was really sad. He was really talented.
It was very sad. I was at home sitting watching TV and it came on the news and I just lost it because I'd worked closely with him in 8 episodes of that show, and he was just a delightful guy, big heart, very funny guy. You never know what people are going through.
I know. Look at Robin Williams.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You played a guy named Road Warrior in Dudes.
Yeah, that was the first time I met Penelope Spirit, the director from the Fall of Western Civilization. And Beverly Hillbillies and a few other things. We became pretty good friends. So that was my first job with her. I had a blast working on that show with Flea.
Yeah. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Catherine Mary
Stewart.
Yeah. Catherine Mary Stewart, she's been on the podcast many times. We even did a whole episode dedicated to Dudes last year for the 30th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She had a lot to say about the movie. It was one of her favorite experiences because she got to do a movie that's sort of a Western,
Yeah, no, it was a strange homogeny of things. Hang on one sec here.
Sure.
Yeah, let me shut that off. There we go. I'm not sure who that is. So it was a strange homogeny of things. It was a weird script, and Penelope made it even weirder. She's a tough cookie to work with. I enjoyed working with her a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard she can be kind of tough, but she's very talented.
Oh yeah, she fired a guy right on set, just like right there when we were working. Somebody was goofing off with the lights or something like that, and she just looked at him and said, "You know what? I've warned you twice now. Get off my set."
Wow.
And the crew, like everybody, just kind of hunkered down and, a head down and like, okay, yeah.
Now that's a great director to have.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have respect for her because you have to be tough to be a woman in a man's business, especially back then. Not so much nowadays, where women are taking, their rightful place as directors. But back then, she was kind of pioneering in that regard, and got a lot of guys that didn't take her seriously. So she was a tough cookie. Funny enough, afterwards I was writing. She had told me I should write, and so had Walter Hill actually. When I worked with Walter on Red Heat, I was working on my first screenplay, and I was quite excited to take it out to have Penelope read it. And I drove all the way out to Universal Studios and handed it to her. Went into her office and handed it to her, and she stood there, and I was all excited. And she's looking at it. She opened the first cover, read about a page and a half, and threw it at me. She said, "It's not formatted correctly. Bring it back when it's done."
Wow. Yeah, she's a character.
Yeah.
Any memories of working on Dead Heat?
Oh yeah, Joe Piscopo. I'm still good friends with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And Treat too. I haven't seen Treat in years, but I talk to Joe every once in a while. Jersey Joe. We had a lot of fun on that show. It was I had known Joe Piscopo because he trained at World Gym where I worked out also. So I would see him there, and then when I went and read for it, I said, "Hey, I'm going to be working with you." And he's like, "Oh, awesome, dude." And we had a lot of fun in that. I got a couple of stories about that one. I play, God knows why zombies would want to rob a jewelry store. But apparently that's the case. Like, we played these two zombie guys, me and this other guy, who the other guy had never fired a weapon in his life. Had to train, teach him how to shoot the gun. And so they gave us Uzis, and to open the jewelry case, because I tried to smash it, I had to shoot the jewelry case open, and then proceed to put the jewels into a bag. Well, we're rolling camera. Mark Goldblatt, who was the editor on Terminator, was directing it. So they're rolling camera. I open fire on the glass with squibs, blow the glass to pieces, fire off a full clip of rounds, and I have nowhere to put the automatic weapon, so I shoved it down the front of my pants.
Wow.
Major mistake, because the muzzle was red hot from firing it.
Wow.
It wasn't a good experience, that one. And then when we did the shootout outside, the cops show up. Like, every SWAT member on the planet shows up, and of course, because we're zombies, we can't really be killed. But they had about 75 bullet hits on me. They actually made a plate for my chest and a plate for my back, and they had all these bullet hits just going off like crazy on me.
Yeah, Dead Heat's a very unique buddy cop movie because it's got zombies in it.
Yeah.
I don't think any other buddy cop movie has ever been like that. I was also reading that you had a bad motorcycle accident in the early 80s. Is that true?
Motorcycle in the early 80s.
Or was it later?
Well, I had a motorcycle. I had a bad car accident in the late 70s. That pretty much I was DOA in. But I also had a motorcycle accident on doing stunts on Hulk Hogan's movie, Mr. Nanny.
Oh, okay. I guess it was mixed up on IMDb. Yeah, I was curious.
Yeah.
I had a car accident. Go ahead.
I had my share of crashes, though.
Have you ever gotten seriously injured from doing stunts?
Well, on that motorcycle gag, I hyperextended both of my knees and tore the bars off the Harley with the impact with my thighs. And then when we were doing Eraser, I got hit with a 3-ton scapula, ribs.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, yeah, a good one. Well, that whole gag just went sideways and almost killed myself and April Whedon, who was the stunt girl doubling Vanessa Williams.
Wow. Yeah, I admire your profession because you guys just put your lives on the line.
Well, we try not to, but sometimes Murphy rears his ugly head, and at other times there are mitigating circumstances when you're dealing with effects guys that don't know what they're doing. And then that was the case here. Was the effects guys were not? They didn't wire this thing properly, and because of it, we ended up getting hit with a 3-ton shipping container.
Mm-hmm. Is stunt still your focus these days?
I teach. I have a school in Vancouver that I attend. It's not a regular thing. I put on classes over there about every 2 months, and then I teach freelance all over the world.
Nice. Do you have any upcoming projects that you can mention?
I have a film I'm working on financing for, and a TV series I'm working on the network. We have the package all put together. We're just waiting to get it in front of the network coming up soon. So that's about it for now.
Nice, but yeah, nothing you can go into detail about.
Not yet. No, there's no point until you actually get something a little more solid. And I've got something else that I've been asked to direct in the fall for a German production company as well.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm glad you're still active, Peter, and I thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I've got 10-year-old twin boys, so I don't have any chance to slow down, brother.
Yeah. Keep going, Peter.
I will. I will.
Thank you so much, and you have yourself a great day.
I will. Please send me the link when you get it up.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Peter Kent. Ain't he a cool dude? Not only that, a brave dude. I swear, I have so much admiration for stuntmen. It's incredible. I can't believe the lengths they will go to get a really good, dangerous shot on screen done right. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!